Hour 2 Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan. Game 6 tonight, Leafs Bruins down at Scotiabank. Our buddy Eddie Olczyk will join us here in a moment. Pucks and Ponies with Eddie O. We got the Triple Crown launching this weekend, the Kentucky Derby. I haven't heard if there's like one horse that sticks out, but Eddie will tell us.
He'll know.
Eddie will know. And Eddie will give us a couple of long shot flyers that he likes. Yeah. And that's all I care about. I just want, like, he'll give us a horse that's going off at like 45-1.
From Peru.
Yeah, he's from Peru. And his great uncle won the Preakness in 78.
And he knows the trainer's dad.
Yeah, exactly.
All of that.
Yeah. And there was some guy that was a trainer in Winnipeg when Eddie was there that's got a connection. Eddie's got
They met at a flea market, and it's been magic ever since. He's got a story like that.
He has every connection. Like, remember we had Eddie on probably a year or two ago asking him, like, how do you know all this stuff? And I think he basically said he just calls. He's got contacts with people. Everybody, every trainer, every owner, every jockey.
If you're going to be on NBC and be the...
He's the capper. Like, he's the guy.
He's the guy. You got to know your stuff.
Yeah.
You get rinsed, and people will hate your guts.
Like, Eddie's calling jockeys right now, probably before Doogie calls him. He's probably on the line with a jockey right now.
Yeah.
Because there's a Woodbine jockey who's going to be racing here.
Yeah.
At the Derby, which is great.
I can't remember his name, but...
Yeah, we're rooting for that. Little Woodbine action. We love it. So, Eddie O coming up here, Pucks and Ponies. With Eddie O as the Derby has arrived in Game 6 tonight. And his Leafs are on the brink. His Jets, they're out.
Well, the Jets said, I mean, their end of the season availability was unique today. I sent it to you guys because I
watched it.
You guys know I love Hellebuck.
Yes.
But I've always admired him because I've watched him in past years give up 7 goals and be like, it felt great.
Yeah.
No problem there. And that's basically what he said today.
But Jamie,
he elaborated.
It's 2 years in a row where you qualify for the playoffs. You think you've got a quality team, and then you get your ass handed to you in a paper bag. And then it's like, was this all a sham? Like, is this what we are?
Yeah.
What's going to happen next year? Oh, it's going to be the same cast of characters. So should we expect anything different? Or do we look to make massive changes? But how are you going to really do that in this era of hockey?
I think they'll I don't know, define massive changes. If somebody from that core
I know the word you were just going to use was tweak. They tweaked this offseason and they got destroyed again.
They were forced to tweak. What I'm saying is you might have to move away from somebody or trade somebody that you've liked and has been a part of your core. So if Nikolai Ehlers, that's a guy who signed term.
Yeah, I would say the core there, Hellebuck's not going anywhere. Morrissey, I don't think, is going anywhere.
Scheifele.
And Scheifele's not. They just committed to him. So those guys are there. Then you're talking Connor or Ehlers.
Right.
That's the rest. Connor, I'll tell you that right now.
Ehlers is your guy.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's a guy. And I don't know.
But okay, you move him out for a different player, and Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar wheel in there again next year. Is that mix of chemistry going to do anything different against those guys? Those guys will handle your lunch, man.
Problem is not every team, like...
What are you going to do about that?
There's only one each of those guys. McKinnon, Makar, Matthews, McDavid, Draisaitl. There's 10 guys like that in the league. Everybody else is kind of below in the next tier. Like, it's... Hellebuck's supposed to be that from the goaltender side, but there's... When you think about it, like, Makar and McKinnon aren't going anywhere. And then their supporting cast is Rantanen and Landeskog's trying to come back and Nichushkin and, but Winnipeg, that group has to, I don't know if I heard it today. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was almost like a culture change. Did you hear the word culture change?
And
I thought it was last year they did that,
with
right?
Wheeler going and Dubois. How about Pierre-Luc Dubois? How awful he looked in that first round. Horrendous. Nothing. No shots on net, no hits, nothing. Like, it was a Sam Mitchell special.
He's got to go home and rethink what he's doing and figure out what he wants to be.
His deal kicks in next year.
I almost sent you guys a text last night about 1:45 in the morning. I was going to bed and you're kind of thumbing through Twitter and that, and there was a tweet from an LA fan because obviously Dubois was trending. So I jumped on it. I was like, thank God we had PLD to put us over the top. And it put his stat line, and it was tough.
Alarming.
Like 0 shots, 0, it was just like, and he took the penalty on Draisaitl last night, and that basically got Edmonton going.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. Edmonton didn't look back after that power play goal.
Well, that's one where if you're Rob Blake and the owner gives you a call and goes, "Can you just explain something quickly to me? I got 2 minutes here before I get on my private bird. What the hell's up with this guy you acquired and gave 8 years at 8.5?" And it's the same thing with Huberdeau in Calgary. It's like, yeah, we'll pick you up and we'll give you an extension before you step foot here. And it just kills you before it even starts.
Can I read you the tweet?
Yeah.
I almost sent it. I just found it. P.L. Dubois felt dangerous out there tonight, and it had a surprise face. 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 shots on goal, 2 penalty minutes, 16-15 of light cardio.
Wow.
4 shots in 5 games.
Yeah, that's Sam Mitchell. We got guys out here with 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
Yeah.
That's what we have. Pierre-Luc Dubois.
You guys know the routine. If he wants to sit on his porch like I do at 4 a.m. every day and think about how good you could have been and shoulda, woulda, coulda, it's a gross thing. So if he keeps it up, he'll be doing it. But he might have so much money he will not give a rat's.
Well, exactly. He's got $70 million coming regardless of what happens. I mean, that's already locked in.
Unless there's a buyout involved. And
imagine that before it even kicks in. Imagine thinking we got to get rid of this guy.
And I don't think that's
I told
coming.
you,
it's not going to happen.
Buyer beware,
Ken
Hughes.
It's not coming.
If you think you want to bring him there, watch
Montreal isn't calling on Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Not buying
chance. He's stuck in L.A. now. All right, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline here is former Leaf from TNT and NBC, one of the great cappers in the world. This is our favorite segment all year, Pucks and Ponies with Eddie Olczyk. Eddie, you must be ecstatic right now.
Well, first off, boys, let me paint the picture. It is about 1,000 degrees here in Louisville. Mm-hmm. Everybody's dressed to the nines. Some people don't have any clothes on, really, to be honest with you, but that's for another story. And we're getting ready to have Phillies Day tomorrow. They'll run for the Lilies. The Phillies will run for the Lilies, and then the boys will run for the Roses on Saturday. So our NBC and USA coverage will begin tomorrow, and then we'll try to bring some people to winners. That's why I'm here, and hopefully I can bat it. I tell my boss every year, if I can bat 300 for the weekend, I will be a happy human. So looking forward to it.
It's your favorite time of year, isn't it, Eddie?
Yeah, I am walking like a tripod. I got to put that out there right now. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
Even though I am a gelding, and I have been for the last 25
right. We still don't know what that means. We still haven't looked that one up on Google. We have no idea what you're talking about. But what are we thinking? I mean, because I made the comment about 20 minutes ago. I was, prepping for you to come on. I said, Eddie's coming up, Pucks and Ponies. And, I said, admittedly, I don't know enough about the 3-year-olds going into the Derby this year, and I'm getting messages from people that are saying there's a couple of horses that you better figure out, like could be real studs. What are we thinking in terms of, how much talent could be going for the Triple Crown this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the 2 horses they're probably talking about, Brian, is number 17, Fierceness, who's trained by Todd Pletcher. Will be the post-time favorite coming out of, will be wearing saddlecloth number 17. Will be breaking from post position 16 because we had a scratch here in the last couple of days. And then the other one trained by Chad Brown, number 2, is Sierra Leone, who won the Bluegrass down over in Lexington, I think it was about a month ago, and just came from the clouds, one of those where slingshot shot out of a cannon moves and all of a sudden the horse is winning the race. So those are the 2, and he's the 2, I should say. So the 17 and 2 horse are the ones that everybody's going to be obviously keeping an eye on, because I do think Fierceness looks like he has the ability to be, like, I don't want to say a monster, but now look, winning the Triple Crown is one thing. I mean, I don't know if I'd go that far, because you got a couple of rested horses by trainer Bob Baffert, who's still suspended and not allowed to run in the Kentucky Derby right now, but he's got a couple of horses that'll be running in the Preakness in 2 weeks in Baltimore. But there are a couple of other horses, I think, with some better value, but I think they're definitely horses you need to use, Brian, when you're making your wagers. But I don't think I'm going to go in that direction. I think I'm going to have to maybe go a little bit off the board and try to put some numbers together and hopefully turn an 8 or a 10 to 1 shot into maybe, like 400 or 500 to 1, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I love it. That sounds great. With Eddie Olczyk, well, using the horsing analogy or the horse analogy, the big horse up here in Toronto is not playing tonight in Auston Matthews, as you're aware of, Eddie. I'm sure you've been in the room probably on both sides where, the big boy on your team's not going and the mental grind that can come with that, and also looking across the ice like, hey, maybe that guy's not playing tonight. This could be a little bit easier for us. Which mentality is more difficult to overcome? The Leafs or the Bruins with Matthews being out tonight?
Wow. I mean, I have lived it. I mean, I remember there was a time playing in Pittsburgh, and obviously Mario was going through his difficult times with his back, and he wasn't able to play. It's like, okay, look, let's win one for him, right? Like, and from inside the Leaf room, and like I think you saw that the other night. Full disclosure, I think I was working the other night when that game was going on, so I didn't get a chance to see much of it. I did see the highlights, but look at it. I mean, we've all lived it. Jamie and Old Dog have lived it, and you just gotta be able to, not necessarily. I don't think the mindset is about winning the game, and I mean, obviously, we know that, but it's like, okay, let's just play the way we can, and let's figure this out. Let's go to the first period, and let's make sure that we're in this game, and we got the lead, right? That's your goal. And if you're the road team, you want to be able to survive and be even or ahead after one. But I think the Bruins are very comfortable playing on the road. I don't know if you guys have heard. Again, I've been out of touch. Do we know who's playing a goal for them? Is it Swayman or?
I believe it's Swayman. Yep.
Okay, right. Okay, so obviously he's had great success, and the team plays well in front of him. And I know what happened the other night, but so I look at being on both sides of it. I mean, look, you'd never. I mean, look, if you're the Bruins, look at it. It's injuries are a part of it, and you got to deal with the hand that is dealt. And you sit there and go, wow, well, we got a hell of a chance. But you know what? Other guys might step up, and they might try to win a game a different way. Grind it out, and their goalie comes up large. So if I'm on the other side and the best goal scorer in the National Hockey League isn't playing, I probably feel pretty good. But you better play the same way or even harder, because the other team should be raising their level.
Eddie, when you got into the playoffs, what was your mindset as far as, you were a guy who could crash and bang, but you could also find the back of the net. If you weren't producing on the board, did you feel like you had to do something different to step out of your comfort zone to contribute?
I mean, I think keeping it simple, Jamie. I think making sure that the puck was getting in deep, forcing the line, whoever I was playing against was going to come 200 feet. I mean, when in my days in Toronto, I mean, we played the Red Wings in the playoffs, right? And, you get the matchups there, and you had to fight through that as well. But, I mean, we were expected to score. Our line was expected to score with Gary Lehman and Mark Osborne. And, and if we didn't, I mean, the chances were we weren't going to have a good night. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But if you're going to go out there and you're not scoring, you can't get scored on. Like you got to do something to be able to help change the momentum in the game. And we've been talking for many years now, and I always love jumping on with you guys and talking about it, because momentum swings in playoff games are even more so than I ever remember them being. And what do you do with it when you get it? And then when it's against you, first off, you got to stop it. And then, what do you do to get it back on your side in order to change the tide? And whether you're expected to, you're a 90-point guy or you're a 35-point guy, 35-point guy might have to chip in offensively. And then the 90-point guy might just go out there and say, you know what? I see Pasternak and Marchand out there with Geeky, and I see McAvoy on the ice. I'm not getting scored on. You look at, you want to score, you want to go out there and generate and force them to defend, but sometimes you got to live the fight another day mentality, up and down and off, and get the next line out there going. So if it wasn't there offensively, I kind of just found myself, and I learned this the hard way as a young player. It's like, just get the puck in and get the money makers going and force the other team to come 200 feet.
Edzo, what's the magic potion in getting the home crowd going here? You've played in Maple Leaf Gardens. Yeah. You've broadcasted a lot of games in Scotiabank Arena. Do the players got to go out there and create excitement, because it's the big kind of thing, like they haven't won on home ice? Complaints about crowd firing them up. It's knowledgeable hockey people. They want action. How do you go about it to get everything clicking here? Good play plus fan engagement, and just get the motor running here.
Fan base should. I mean, they know that they're a huge part of the team at home. Look at. I remember. I just can only speak to what I did, and again, it wasn't the Garden, but when we would play, big games against Montreal, or Calgary would come in, or New York. I mean, the crowd was electric, and they're just sitting on the edge of their seat in the playoff game. It goes to a whole nother level. So it is. I mean. Yeah, if you're somebody with a big hit or a great play or an unbelievable save, that really gets them into it. But the fan base has got to understand and know that they are an important part of the team. And you see all the, the sayings and the slogans over the years of, the sixth man and, the fan base, the crowd's the seventh man and all that. Like, it is really a part of it. And you guys know, to ride the wave of the fans when they are just, when they're all lathered up and they're all jacked up and they're excited and they're anticipation and they're living and dying with every shift. There's great anticipation and, an uncertainty, but I know that they know how important that they are, and there's nothing like having a crowd. Look at even, you fall behind, right? You need your crowd to be behind you. I mean, they are, but, it's not hard to, when it gets really quiet in there, and I've been in there when it's really quiet. I mean, it's not hard to hear the people getting a little upset and the boo birds end up, and then all of a sudden, the players hear it. I mean, we do hear it. I don't care what anybody says. You do feed off of it, and I think if the crowd is into it right off the bat, regardless, and then you give them something really good to chew on, and all of a sudden they're going to be ready to go, and you want them to be all lathered up from start to finish.
With Eddie Olczyk, Pucks and Ponies, we've been talking pucks here, and we talk ponies off the top. Sierra Leone, Fierceness, two horses that you have your eye on. A lot of people have their eye on. I know you got to fly, but can you give us a name or two that we should keep an eye on here? The audience every year they wait for it. They say, wait for Eddie. Give us some detail. What is Eddie thinking down there? You're in Louisville. You're on the grounds. Who are we looking at this weekend?
Well, look, all of my wagers are going to be centered around the number 4 horse, Catching Freedom. 8-1 in the morning line. I'm hoping probably somewhere in that 10-1 range. You're not going to hear this name's horse early. The faster they go, the better. And I'm hoping for every bit of 10-1. Brad Cox is the trainer, Louisville native. Flavien Pratt, the jockey, is very, very good. They won the Louisiana Derby down in New Orleans at the Fairgrounds about 5 weeks ago, and I just think that the race is going to set up so the faster that they go early, the better it will be for a horse like Catching Freedom. Look, you got 20 horses. You're going to have to stick handle your way through, hopefully only about 13 or 14, because I don't want to see him sitting, because I think that's for Sierra Leone, one of the favorites, as we mentioned. The 2 horses is going to be probably, sitting back in behind 18 or 19 horses, but I'm hoping that my horse Catching Freedom can kind of be in that mid-pack, sitting 11th or 12th. And just instead of making it, it's a 1.25 mile race, but I'm hoping that the 1.25 mile turns into a half-mile turn for home, and you can find you can find it. So look at,
we love it.
I'm an express bet guy, and I don't know if you can wear out an app on your phone, but I'm just going to tell you guys, I am so jacked. I'm going to wear out the app on my betting app, and hopefully I can buy the app, because I'm looking to make a little bit of score this weekend. And I got another grandbaby on the way in July, so
yes.
my new granddaughter needs a new pair of shoes, if you know what I mean.
We love it. Well, congratulations. That's outstanding. And Catching Freedom.
Number three.
There you go, Eddie.
3.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love it. That's amazing to hear. All right, enjoy yourself down in Kentucky, and we'll do it again soon. We appreciate you doing this.
Good luck to the Leafs. Yeah, thanks, guys. Good luck to the Leafs tonight, too. Okay?
Absolutely.
Good luck.
All right, buddy.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Pucks and Ponies with Eddie O. Think he's a happy man?
He is loving life.
Man, he loves getting to Louisville. Kentucky.
He probably has a condo there.
Yeah, he probably does. Yeah, he's got a timeshare at a minimum.
Yeah,
for sure.
Minimum.
Check out ponies, do a little walk around.
So he's
fly in for the weekend.
Catching Freedom. He loves Catching Freedom.
That's not going to notice the horse right off the hop, but the faster, the better.
He had
the
a
longer
line
it gets, the faster he gets.
Right. Yeah, he's looking for a stretch run like dart, and that's where Catching Freedom comes in, and he is going to hammer that horse. All right, there you go. Catching Freedom. I'm on it.
We got to track it.
Oh, we're tracking it.
Like come Monday's show, we got to see how it did.
Yeah, because Eddie, I think, is like, because there's that famous video of Eddie where he was at it was like the World Series of Poker.
It was.
For
like
horse
a conference
racing.
for
like all the best cappers in North America, and Eddie called like an 80-1 or something to win. Yeah. And he was up there like.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He was at the table. He was Kramer.
Like that. Those guys at the OTB are they are my favorite degenerates.
They are like literally riding the horse
and whipping yourself. You have issues.
You are so deep into the game. Like you have no self-awareness. You couldn't care less. Like if you are pretending you're a horse and whipping yourself.
Yeah. That is awesome.
You are in deep,
I forgot
man.
about that, because we saw that video. It's got to be out there.
Oh, the Eddie O one is for sure. There's another one of a guy. that went viral a few months ago. It may have been from years back where the guy is he's at some track and he's doing the full horse thing.
Kramer.
Yeah, it's the full Kramer.
Dug in, right?
And he wins in the end and he's going nuts. And the best thing is the guy's probably got like $2 down on it, probably paid $15 and he's just freaking out.
You never know. Some of those guys put some money. They put some money on it.
Big. Like that 80 to 1, like I think he won like $100,000 or something like that. Like it was 75 grand or something. Like he won a lot of money.
Oof.
And on top of that, I think it was a big event because there were other big cappers in there.
Yeah.
Like Eddie's knocking down where the horse is from, where the train. I love Bobby Baffert. He's still suspended at the Kentucky Derby
with his blue glasses.
Yeah, but he can run the Preakness, so he's got a horse waiting for the Preakness. Like that's how shady horse racing is. Like
there's some
Kentucky you can't go.
Baffs, you got to stay away from here, but we'll see you next week.
Maryland, we'll see you in Maryland. You want to come down to Baltimore? We'll take care of you.
There is some shadiness, I would imagine. I don't know anything about it other than we used to go once a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Frank Fontana in Edmonton. That's it.
Well, you've got the Belmont is generally it's in New York. I want to say it's upstate New York this year for some reason. Thought I got a note about that. Usually it's like right in New York City. It might be on Long Island or something.
Who the hell
would
send you a note about that?
It was like buddies saying, "Hey, should we try to make it down?"
Right.
Because it's in like Rochester or something.
You kind of need. It's an event, right? You go like be nice to have a boys trip and go down and do something like that.
By all accounts, the Kentucky Derby is one of the all-time great events.
Mike Commodore,
like the bucket list type event.
My buddy Mike Commodore went down there. He said it's insane.
It's insane. 100,000 people.
But he's a single guy. Went down like he.
Well, there's two different parties. Like the infield is like a NASCAR part. Like it's just it's like Coachella in there. It's just people getting gooned.
But they're all dressed up, right? They're all
but more so if you're in the grandstand. Like if you're in the grandstand, then it's really like the big hats and the suits and yeah.
That's where Brady flies.
Yeah, Brady's in there all the time. Rogers is down there. There's the celebrities. It's crazy. Like private birds flying in and out of Louisville.
Well, wasn't it?
It was the Pacquiao.
I was going to say
Mayweather
the fight
was the same night in Vegas.
Yeah,
and Brady was there, and then he flew to Vegas afterwards. He was spotted like ringside for the fight, and he was. That's a night.
That's a night.
You go like I don't know what the flight would be, Louisville to Vegas, probably an hour and a half, something like that.
Yeah, bird to get you there. Yeah, but
no problem.
It was during the day horse race night at fight.
Yeah, because the fight's like the race goes off 6:30 Eastern, give or take, and the fight would have started at like midnight.
Yeah.
So he probably rolled right out of there, right onto the jet, right into Vegas. He would have been in Vegas by 10 o'clock, latest. Awesome. He would have had at least an hour or two to get to the fight. Probably hit the tables beforehand. Unreal. Well, there you go. And Eddie, I don't know. I couldn't sense if he's feeling good about the Leafs or not tonight. Yeah, everyone's got respect for the Bruins. Like that's ultimately what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Is that the video of Eddie? Oh, yeah, there's a video of Eddie.
Loving it.
Look at Eddie up and just going nuts.
Look at him. Just turning.
That. Pucks and Ponies is my favorite segment of the year.
The best.
It's the best.
Pucks and Ponies with Eddie O. All right, so Eddie's on Catching Freedom, the 4-horse. All right, so Leafs Bruins tonight.
We got something to get into, too.
Yeah?
Dregs tweeted out about your boy Rod.
Now it looks like it's going to happen. Now he's going to sign back in Carolina.
I got to say, there was some heat being handed to us from some Carolina fans.
I was on the threads. Yeah. I noticed. I don't think anyone cared.
Why would
there
be heat directed at us? We're just giving our thoughts and opinions on the situation. That's all.
No, there was a bunch of insiders going, you have no idea what's going on. Like, he's not leaving Carolina.
Okay, then get it done then.
Well, it sounds like they're on the track to getting it done.
My guess would be if you're in Carolina, and I would guess Brindamore is aware of this, it's a distraction when you get the Rangers coming up.
Exactly.
Like the fact that like Brindamore, I would think would be uncomfortable with the idea that his contract is a talking point. You're the coach, and you got to play. Like you got a massive test coming up. The Rangers are waiting for you, and you're publicly talking about your deal and how much money you're going to make and all. That's uncomfortable. That's the news cycle. That's the way it goes. Like the reporting's been great, but
who knows? It should get done. It better get done.
Yeah, if you're Carolina, I mean, in the end, you can't let a guy like Rod Brindamore go. Like if he wants to stay, you're gonna have to pay him. You're gonna have to pay his staff.
Yeah.
We'll get into teeing up that series when it's time to tee up that series, but I kind of like Carolina in that.
Do you?
I like the way they were playing down the stretch. The Rangers played great too, but they haven't lost a lot in like 2 months.
Carolina.
Oh, sure. Ever since they got Gensel, like
your buddy Freddie.
Freddie's been very good.
Been awesome. You see, I don't know if you guys saw.
See him blow a wheel the other night though, and like when he fell going post to post.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that? That could be dangerous for Freddie, and then he recovered, and it was all good.
He's been great.
Been very good.
Yeah,
very good.
He plays well. He just hasn't. He's had the injury issues, the blood clots and all of that. But he's up for the Masterton, which is good.
Yeah, it's a cool story. Yeah. It's a really cool story. I mean, Freddie, he's had a very good career.
Yeah.
And, it must be nice being in Carolina, New York, Edmonton, Florida, Colorado, like just an easy first round. Just cruise through. Don't even, this was like a preseason for those teams.
Yeah, it really was.
Like not even tested, never in doubt, never a question. Yeah. Now, the Leafs, of course, have to fight. Vancouver's got to fight. Dallas and Vegas was an expected fight. Yeah, I guess the Belmont's at Saratoga this year. That's where it is.
All right.
It's in Saratoga. So it's not down in New York. All right, we'll come back and we'll start looking ahead more to Game 6 tonight. Again, the Jays are off. They're back in action tomorrow. We'll get into what John Schneider had to say or what he was telling the fans, right?
Yeah, chill.
Giving updates on where he thinks fans should be this time of year. So we'll play that. We'll get into that. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Jonas Seagull coming up. Leafs Bruins Game 6 tonight. The Jays are off today. Wonder how many games Geddy Lee's been to so far, because they've shifted, the whole backstop there behind home plate.
Didn't he move when you're looking at it farther left?
I don't know if you can see Geddy anymore.
Yeah, he kind of just
which is disappointing.
He's a little guy too. He's not a big guy.
No, but he's great. Like Geddy Lee, he's such a big Blue Jay fan.
What do you think he thinks of them?
He cannot be happy. Like, I'm sorry, there's not a Blue Jay fan. It's not even that it's. I think what's frustrating. And from Schneider's perspective and Bassett's perspective, and it's difficult. Baseball's difficult because it really is a long grind.
Right.
Like they play 162 games. It's difficult to have perspective. It's human nature to be caught up in the moment.
Right.
But they're bottom third basically in every statistic that matters at the plate. Their pitching hasn't been great either. It's almost a miracle, actually, when you look at the stats, that they're only 2 games under 500. But it's not as if last year they were a top 5 offense.
Right.
And you can look at that and say, look what we just did. Yes, weird, slow start. Give us time.
This is where we expect to get
Last year was the slowest, most difficult grind to get through from a viewing experience because they just don't play fun baseball. Like, it's not fun. There's no power. There's no slugging. There's not a lot of activity. Runners in scoring position. You're just waiting for someone to hit into an out or strike out. And it's carried over this year. And 32 games is not a massive sample size, but that's not inconsequential. It's not like you've played one series.
Yeah.
Now, you're not 3 games in and people are freaking out. You played 32 games.
Yeah.
And people are looking at the offense and they're like, this is a disaster again. And it's very difficult to understand how you thought it was going to change when really the sales pitch after they swung and missed on Ohtani was internal improvement.
Yeah. Just Bo and Vladdy. We need Vladdy to be better. We need Springer.
Those
all
are
of the
guys.
Yeah.
Kirky's going to come alive again.
Yeah.
It's not even close. And Varshaw's been really good. Justin Turner's been outstanding. Without Turner, without Varshaw, Davis Schneider, Ernie Clements had some big hits. Like, they've actually gotten some production from depth players. Fair amount, actually. Turner's an everyday guy, and Varshaw's an everyday guy. Kiermar's on the IL. I think they got everything they could out of him last year. I'm not sure what you can expect this year. But ultimately, it's Springer, Vladdy, Bichette. That's every team in baseball sets up 1, 2, 3 in the order. Right. And the 3 of them are collectively having the worst 32-game start I can think of in decades in Toronto in terms of 1, 2, 3 in the order.
Right.
Like, usually one guy is off to a great start. Minimum, multiple guys. And then when you're really clicking, it's like, all right, you got all 3 cooking. You know, like there was a time, obviously, 10 years ago when it was Bautista, Donaldson, Edwin, and when they were all hitting at the same time, the Jays didn't lose.
It was scary.
It was unstoppable.
Yeah.
And I don't think the expectation is Springer, Vladdy, Bichette will supply the exact production that Donaldson, Bautista, Edwin did, but they are supposed to lift everyone else up, and it hasn't happened.
Right.
And here's what John Schneider had to say yesterday when he was asked, I think a reasonable question, like, what do you have to say to every once in a while you got to ask the manager or the coach.
Yeah.
This is what the fans are saying and thinking. Can you through us vicariously through the media, can you give them some sort of an answer on the frustrations and how they're feeling right now?
What do you say to the people who are just tired of hearing, we know it'll come, when it hasn't yet?
They're going to get bored of me saying the same thing. It's going to come. It will. It's May 1st. It will come. We will be better. That's what I can say to them. You know what I mean? And I would hope that our fans trust the fact that we have really good players, that they understand they're not performing up to their expectations, and that I hope they know that we will be better.
Okay. So he's right. It's May 1st. I don't think anyone wants to be lectured on a date. Yeah. It doesn't make sense to do that. But that's his MO. That is who he is. He's cool, calm, collected. That's generally how managers operate. Right. I don't know what he's saying in the clubhouse. I don't know how he's interacting with the players, but he's trying to put up a front that everything's all good. I think, again, what you've noticed with this organization is they all have to be in lockstep. The manager, the GM, the president, they're all very cognizant of the way everyone perceives them. Right. They all want to exude confidence. Okay, that's fine. But, again, last year was a mess. So you got to give us more than we've seen it before, because I'm sorry, you just didn't collectively from this team last year.
You want to show poise, but did that sound very confident? It just sounded like, hey, you're going to... Right. Doesn't matter what's happening, you're going to hear this messaging from me. I
don't care what you're asking, what you're thinking. Times this is what's happening. This is what I'm going to bring.
If you're trying to prove a point, you can go, we've been through this before. May 1st, pull a stat, pull something and go, look at what Bo did from May 1st on. You can point to something and go, this is why I believe this is going to happen, and relax everybody. Not just going, you're going to hear the same messaging. It's like, doesn't matter what's happening, this is what I'm going to say.
Yes.
That's basically what I got out of it. Instead of going, I believe in these guys, look at some, again, for an uneducated baseball fan, point to something and say, this is what we're seeing. This is what I'm seeing in Vladdy. This is what I'm seeing in our group. We're close. We're right there. Mm-hmm. Instead of just going, hey, it's May 1st, and you know what, you're going to hear you're going to hear this all the time.
It's like, why not just press play on a recording then?
Because we talk about it. I hate to pull everything back to the Leafs, but there's a recipe for success. And if you don't like what's going on, you're not just go, well, just wait until this. But you can point to something and say, power play. The power play can do something, or the goaltender. With baseball, I would like him to be point blank and say, you know what, our pitching's going to get this out of us.
Yep.
Or get, our bats are going to get us out of this. But instead of just going, hey, be patient, that's what I'm telling the fans.
Yeah. And
I'd like a little nugget from a guy who's behind the curtain.
You're right. And I think it's a good point of, sorry, this is just what you're going to get. Okay, well, what is the drop dead date on that? If they're still bottom third statistically in every category a month from now, is it June 1st and you're still going to get it?
Right.
Or at June 1st, you say, okay, we got serious problems here, or we have the same level of frustration, because I understand that there is a balance here. He's right. There's 130 games left. Springer, Bichette, and Vladdy are much better than the way they're playing. They're obviously going to be better than this.
Right.
But Vladdy in particular, the last couple of years, I'm not expecting a spring to the point where he reverts to, 3 years ago when it was 48 home runs and second in MVP voting. I don't think that's what we're talking here. So that needs to be, and it's not on Schneider necessarily to bring all of those details into it or have that type of perspective. But the idea that it's going to come around, sure. But even if it comes around, it's coming around to a point where it's not, that 1, 2, 3 is not going to be Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, even if they're all playing well. It'll be a lot better than this. It'll certainly lead to more wins, put them in a position where they probably feel good about being over 500, but you're not going to be a World Series contender, even if the three of them just get back to what they've averaged the last couple of years.
Right. So what is he building up for?
Exactly. What do you wait?
What is the upside on it? Okay, so when they start playing well, what does your team look like? And what do you believe this team is once everybody falls into line? Right. Are they a 90-win team? Are they 92? Or are they 86? That's the
line that we got. We won't know probably until we get to September anyway.
Right.
Because I think with the way things have started here and the way that they're built, it's unlikely there's some miracle unbelievable run where, they're winning at a 650 win percentage or 750 win percentage, and all of a sudden they're cruising to the playoffs. Feels like if they get in, it's going to be September,
grind in.
Yeah, grind it out. You got to go. You got to win 7 of your last 10 here to get in, or this is a big series. And that's what they did last year, and to their credit, they got in. Chris Bassett, I think Bassett showed certainly more emotion, more candor. He let his guard down more, came off much more human, but also allowed it to circle back to the point where he spoke to the fact that there's still a lot of time left. Here's what Bassett had to say yesterday.
I'm beyond frustrated about what the hell's going on. I got a 5.5. Gauze got a 5. I think there's some perspective a little bit when it comes to it we played a really hard schedule and haven't played our best, and yet we're close to 500. I think a lot can turn really fast. It's just, like I said, I think a lot of guys are frustrated with where we're at right now.
Yeah, because he's right. He's like, hey, tough sked. Haven't played our best. We're still 15-7, 17. We got vets in here. We believe in ourselves.
Yeah,
but really frustrated.
But he laid out a couple things.
Don't love it.
He laid out a couple things. Pointed to schedule. Pointed to veteran guys.
Ian Gosman not pitching enough.
Yeah, we're not doing a good enough job. Our schedule's been tough. We got veteran guys. At least he's, for me, listening to him.
That's
he's laid
real.
out that's real. But he's laid out a pathway of how they can fix it.
Yes,
this is how we believe. We got veteran guys in here. It's still early. It's a tough schedule, and we haven't played our best. That's it.
Yeah.
You believe him because you're like, and it's not that I don't believe John Schneider. I wish there was, and he doesn't owe us anything. He certainly doesn't owe me anything,
right,
but I would like to hear just something like that from the manager going, this is what we believe in management. This is why I'm not panicking.
We're with you, fans, because we're not happy at 15-17. We're not happy that this continues,
but
we believe in our guys, and I'm going to go down with the ship, and we're going to fight and claw, and we've got a lot of time left, and we haven't even played our best baseball, which we all accept, yet we're 15-17 and we're still in the race.
Yeah.
Okay. Not just because the answer, what you get with baseball in particular right now, and particularly in this city and with what's happened over the last year and a half, this obsession with, game plans beforehand and playing the numbers and, Barrios into Kikuchi and not dressing Varsho out 3 hits a grand slam, all these different things that factor in, which a lot of it is analytically driven, and that's the nature of the sport. That's kind of what Schneider sounded like. Well, our numbers say this is what's coming.
Right.
And people just don't want to hear that from them.
Remember the Seattle manager?
Yeah, exactly. He's like, well, you guys actually should be lucky or thanking us because statistically, 53%. He drops some number. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? You missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
You think people want to hear that you figured some some crazy formula out that's actually going to be beneficial in the long run?
I just sometimes want something where, again, he's not obligated to, but it would just be nice because Bassett just gave
a
raw answer, and it was a straight shooter. That's a veteran answer.
Yes. Not happy.
Guy's like, I've got more in the tank. I'll be better. And we believe in here. Mm-hmm. Plenty of time. Don't worry about it. We'll be good.
Yep.
See you in a month.
Exactly. Exude confidence as opposed to exuding, this is just how I'm supposed to feel, is that they'll just figure it out. Yeah, it's like...
Defiance isn't the right word, but it's like you're asking him the question. He's like, okay, you're going to ask this again? You're going to get the same answer. I get it, but just if you change... It's almost like lawyer speak.
Yes.
You can say a bunch of words, but still say nothing, and people are happy about it because it's like, oh, well, he had a thoughtful response there. And I just feel like he could handle it a little bit differently, and people wouldn't be so worked up about it.
Well, I mean, you look at where the rest of the division's at. The Orioles are 20-11. Yankees are 20-13. It's still way too early to even take a look at the wild card race or anything like that. But the expectation, I think, is Baltimore and New York are going to win a lot of ball games.
Right.
So if they do, the likelihood of chasing them down, probably not overly probable. You're chasing the wild card.
Yeah.
And then that brings into focus what's going to happen in the other divisions. And Kansas City's a team that just took you for 5 of 7, and they're likely going to be in the fight by the end of the year.
Did I Am I wrong in this? Did I read something about Manoah? Like,
he pitched really well the other day.
But being brought back into the mix up here?
It's possible just because of some of the jockeying of arms and what's going on with, different arms and different players that are going on and off the IL. And at some point they have to make a decision because he's still technically on a rehab stint. And that expires, I believe, next week. So by next week, you have to make a call with him. What are you going to do?
Like I feel like I was reading it. It's like, Manoah could be in the mix,
they might
and
be
who's going
forced
to
to
go?
bring him up unless they want to, I guess,
assign him a trade,
assignment or something, or trade him or whatever. But I think the rubber's going to hit the road.
Yeah, it's coming to an end.
You've got to make a call. You can't keep just leaving him down there claiming he's working through a shoulder.
Yeah.
He's clearly rehabbed. He's pitching. They're buying time, but they're going to have to make a call on him. Wow. And that will be fascinating because I just don't see, even though he had a really good start the other day by all accounts in Indianapolis, I wouldn't trust bringing him up. Like, he's not going to be a part of your rotation.
No.
You cannot put him on the mound as a starter, I don't think, based on what's happening.
Who would you take out? Who would go if you just were force-fed into Manoah having to come up and be a starter?
I would start him. I can't give you that answer in terms of the rotation.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how they could possibly conclude that you're going to put him in that spot, but that's what they've been doing with him in the minors. He's not, he's obviously starting games down there. They're trying to build his arm back up. So maybe that will be the plan. I wouldn't trust it. I can't imagine they could. I don't see how you could put Alek Manoah anywhere close to a major league start right now.
Wow.
All right, Jonas Seagull coming up into the next hour, and we got Leafs Bruins tonight. So we'll start teeing that up. Game 6 tonight. We got our best bets brought to you by FanDuel. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Jonas Seagull from Scotiabank. He may not be down there yet. I would assume he would be, but it's an 8 p.m. puck drop tonight.
I think they'd be down there because the coach's availability is early. Because I thought I saw Masters tweeting out Jim Montgomery's quotes.
Okay, so he's already speaking. Well, I don't think Mark even leaves the rink, though. Like, Masters
Does he live downtown?
I'm not sure where he lives, but I think he gets up, puts his suit on, and never takes it off, and goes to the rink for the morning skate, and is just there until he leaves after the game.
Yeah, I don't know his routine.
I don't think he leaves.
But you're there for morning skate, both teams, media, all of that. Probably take a couple hours to go for lunch. And then you come back early.
Yeah, I guess.
For availabilities.
8 p.m., yeah. So maybe Jonas will be down there. But he's coming up. Mike Johnson will join us as well. Johnny's in studio for the panel tonight. It'll be a lot of activity here tonight because the Jays aren't playing. You got one game in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like, we've already reached that point where it's only a one-off.
Yeah.
Where a week ago, there'd be 4 games tonight.
Well, some series are done.
Yeah.
So they're waiting on this one to finish in the East. And then out West, there's games tomorrow. That Vancouver-Nashville will be interesting.
Absolutely. You got 2 games in the NBA tonight, too. The Knicks, nerve-wracking, because if they lose tonight, that's 2 straight to Philly, and now it's Game 7 back at the Garden.
Yeah.
That's at 9 p.m. That's a primetime game. And you got Milwaukee, Indiana, as well as Indiana can close out the Bucks tonight. I don't think Dame's going to play.
So Philly's in the same spot as the Leafs, right?
Philly was down 3-1. Actually, it looks like Dame might play, but Jonas is out. I just read that. It just popped up as I was saying that. So Dame, I think, will return, but Jonas is out. Yeah, the Knicks were up 3-1. And then they lost Game 5 at the Garden in overtime, the same thing as the Bruins. It's kind of wild, where now Philly's going home. Last time they were home, remember, Embiid was calling out the fans. And too many Knick fans here, and it shouldn't happen. And he better have himself a performance, man.
Well, that's the other thing, too, is Knicks fans are going down to Philly
They're going to
tonight.
show up. I read a stat this morning about, because they can track all that stuff on the secondary market, and I guess any online purchase,
right?
You can track where it's being paid, and I think a lot of it, 40% of the tickets or something like that, from the secondary market. The ones that are being sold, the ones that are already accounted for by season ticket holders and all that,
right?
They would be they're from Philly, but they have the statistics, and a lot from New York, New Jersey. Jersey borders Pennsylvania.
Yes,
though,
I mean,
so it's not
between Philly, New Jersey, and New York City. It's an hour. You can drive there in an hour. So
it could be Sixer fans, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's probably Knick fans trying to get in.
Well, it's a more storied franchise, right? The Knicks have
they
been
both
around
got a
forever.
lot of history, but just New York's New York. I mean, there's just so many people. There's so much money.
Yeah.
They've been craving a Knicks team that they can get behind for so long. I would expect it'll be loud in Philly tonight. So that's what you got. You got Leafs Bruins. You got 2 games in the NBA.
Yep.
Buckle up, man. Give me a fun one.
8 o'clock start. Too,
8 p.m.
so
start. I love it. And it's beautiful weather. Like I would think downtown. We'll see if Jonas is down there. We'll see
what type of vibe is going on. What kind of vibe
do we got cooking? Because I am curious. Based on who I've been talking to, some people are trying to, again, psych themselves into believing that the Leafs now will storm back. And
right.
I don't know. Like, I don't have a feel for how this game's going to play out.
I get asked about it 10 times today.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't tell you.
If Matthews was playing, I'd be leaning Leafs. Admittedly, I would be leaning towards them. Him being out is they showed up for him the other night. I think that's going to be a difficult mind game to overcome tonight.
It's still 50-50 though.
Yeah.
See what you got. That's basically what it is. But I can't predict anything right now. It is a little bit apprehensive. I'm not seeing as many like Leaf flags and stuff like that around town.
Yeah.
I think people are just kind of
trying to blend in,
see.
Ease into this. And again, when you start down 3-1, nervous energy in that building too, because of how much they've lost there recently. Yeah. All right, Jonas Siegel coming up. Mike Johnson will join us as well. Our best bets brought to you by FanDuel. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.